Hello everyone, this is Kat and welcome back to My Hero Academia Podfics. Today I'll be reading a one-shot entitled Humans Make Surprisingly Good Pillows. The summary is, it's 5 times Izuku falls asleep on someone, and the 1 time he's forced to. The first time it happens is when he's training for One for All. It's a long day at the beach, and Izuku's practically swaying on his feet. Slumping onto a spare bench, he shifts around, trying to ignore the ache in his muscles. It's grueling and tiring work, but Izuku can feel them slowly hardening into something tangible, and he can't help but feel excitement over his improvement. The beach is also much cleaner. More than half of it has been cleared away at this point, and Izuku's starting to believe that he might actually be able to clear all of it by the entrance exam. Right now, though, all he can manage is a sluggish groan as he feels something cold press into his hands. The tired boy opens his eyes slowly, finding a cool water bottle. After fumbling with the cap a bit, he chugs it, giving a small sound of thanks to All Might, who has settled into the seat next to him with a water bottle of his own. When the green-haired youth finally finishes, putting down the bottle, he closes his eyes once more, content to just let the salty sea breeze calm him. "Good job today, young Midoriya." Izuku can hear the smile in All Might's voice, and he glows from the praise. It's still hard to believe that the All Might is training him. All he can manage right now, however, is a small before he starts to cuddle into the odd warmth he feels next to him. The peace and quiet murmur of the shifting waves lets him relax further. It isn't long before he slips into unconsciousness. "Young Midoriya, wake up." Izuku wakes up slowly, still clinging to the last vestiges of sleep. Want to sleep. "I'm afraid you'll have to sleep later." All Might chuckles softly, and the freckled boy can feel the vibrations. "I unfortunately cannot hold you forever." It's then that Izuku realizes where he is, in the arms of All Might. He fell asleep. On All Might. It's as if icy cold water had been dumped on him, and he jerks away, tired haze long gone. He sits up immediately, or tries to, at least. Instead, the clumsy boy bumps his forehead against All Might's chin, causing the hero to give a surprised grunt, and then he's falling to the floor, unsuccessfully dislodged from All Might's grip. "Oh my gosh, All Might! I'm so sorry, are you okay? Sorry for sleeping on you, I didn't mean to, I promise." The older man just smiles, one hand rubbing his jaw while the other waves Izuku off. "Quite all right, my boy. It's tiring work, completely understandable." "Still, sorry." Izuku bows deeply to hide his red face, mumbling yet another apology. When it's finally under control, he stands back up, then realizes that they've already reached the apartment complex, that All Might must have carried him here. "I should go in, thanks. All Might, see you tomorrow." And the embarrassed youth dashes inside, face burning, before finally making it to his room. He sits down with his back against the door, covering his face in mortification. Izuku resolves to never let it happen again. It happens again. He and Uraraka are in the common room of the newly made dorms themselves. The rest of the class is presumably still unpacking, so Izuku takes it as an opportunity to flop onto the couch, stomach down. Uraraka takes a seat next to him, sighing in exhaustion. "Hey, you done unpacking all that hero merch?" she teases him. "I'm not that much of a fanboy," he groans, flipping over onto his back and covering his face. "Besides, the rest of my merch hasn't come yet." "Only you, Deku." Izuku gives a non-committal hum, closing his eyes. They lie in pleasant silence for a while before the brunette speaks up. "Isn't it uncomfortable?" "Without a pillow, I mean." The hero in training starts to get up. I really shouldn't sleep here," only to be yanked back down and onto Uraraka's lap. "Take a break, silly. I don't mind." This is it. This is where he dies. He's pretty sure his face is red all the way up to the tips of his ears, and he lets out a noise that sounds similar to a boiling kettle. Todoroki sneezes in his room, on his knees, while trying to fit the tatami floor mat. He frowns, confused, and makes a mental note to go to Recovery Girl tomorrow. With his quirk, he can't ignore a tiny cold. Uraraka, the traitor that she is, lets out a giggle. The green-haired boy, with no other option, closes his eyes tightly, willing himself to pass out right then and there. Uraraka doesn't seem to notice as she starts to comment on random things, filling the silence with a gentle drone. He doesn't know how he does it, but he nods off to her warm voice, feeling safe and secure. It's crazy how much Izuku's grown to trust the girl. The feeling doesn't last for long, however. The youth is awakened by a high-pitched squeal in the sound of Ashido's voice. It isn't his fault when he falls off the couch this time, though it still hurts when he bangs into the wooden floor. The brunette jumps in surprise, ending up as a floating cherry while the rest of the class makes their way down the stairs. Kirishima flashes a toothy grin upon entering. "Hey guys, what's going on?" Oh, Chaka! Uraraka tackles Ashido before the pink-haired girl can even get out a word. Nothing. Deku and I were just talking about how it's, super cool now that we have dorms now. Besides, it's not like that. What's not like what? Asks an oblivious Kaminari. Nothing. Everybody shut up, you're too fucking loud. With that, the previous subject is dropped in favor of tackling Kachan. Izuku runs a hand down his face. It happens again, and Izuku will die. Midoriya. Aizawa stares flatly. Oops. Izuku tries to give a sheepish smile from where he lays on the bed. To be fair, Sensei, I didn't have a choice but to fight back. So you're saying that these low-level thugs were so fast that you didn't get an opportunity to run literally less than a block away to an actual professional hero? They were waving a gun around. Somebody could have gotten hurt in the time it would have taken me to get to the other heroes. You got hurt. It's not that bad. You have a concussion and multiple electrical burns due to the villain's quirks. Better than a dead civilian. The tired pro-hero doesn't dignify Izuku's response with an answer, just sighing and massaging the bridge of his nose. When the man is done, he pins the hero in training with a flat stare, holding eye contact for long enough to make Izuku uncomfortable. The green-eyed boy shifts around a bit, trying to look everywhere but at his teacher, and when the underground hero is satisfied with his level of discomfort, he continues. It doesn't matter, Midoriya. Holding up a hand at Izuku's protests. When he falls quiet, the man continues. You're a hero in training. Not a hero yet. Just because you have a provisional license doesn't mean that you can go around fighting villains when there are other options. You can't keep doing this, problem child. Izuku wants to protest, but he knows that it's futile. Not to mention the man is correct. He didn't have to engage immediately, and he knew there were other heroes around. Pro-hero Venom, in fact. He'd asked the man a scant 10 minutes before the incident to sign his notebook, but his legs did that annoying thing again, moving on their own. He does try to stop them, really, it's just hard. The boy looks down, mumbling out a tiny, sorry. Aizawa just lets out a long, suffering sigh, muttering something about endearing yet dumb self-sacrificial idiots. Then he turns back to Izuku. Come on, the hospital's discharging you today. We're going back to the dorms. Izuku cheers up at that fact. Hospitals are always super stuffy and boring. As he tries to exit the bed, however, his legs buckle, and it's a miracle that Aizawa was able to catch him. Sorry. If you can't even stand, then maybe it's better for you to stay here a bit longer. I can walk, I swear. The green-eyed boy protests, because there's no way that he was going to stay inside this stuffy hospital for longer than he needed to. To prove his point, Izuku stabilizes himself before he tries to walk to the door. Keyword. Tries. His legs feel like absolute jelly, and he only has a small tether of control over them. Just walking one step forward is hard, and he's sure that it's only thanks to luck that he even manages to do that. Aizawa stares at him unimpressed. Sighing yet again, he says, Don't force yourself to walk if you can't. I don't want to stay here. Izuku pauses in his protest when the teacher crouches, back facing Izuku. What are you doing? If you really want out so badly, just get on my back. I'll carry you. Is the gruff reply, and that's how the hero in training is found, hanging off of Aizawa's back with his face buried into the surprisingly soft capture weapon. The rhythmic steps of the pro-hero calm him down, and if Izuku presses his ear against the man, he can hear the steady thrum of his heartbeat. It's quite calming, actually, especially when someone, like Izuku, wants to ignore the odd stares that he can practically feel on himself. Not to mention that Aizawa himself radiates comforting warmth, the scarf acting as the perfect pillow. All Izuku can think to himself is, not again, before slipping off into the darkness. The green-haired boy drifts in and out of sleep, waking up slightly when Aizawa deposits him into the back seat of what's presumably his car, before falling back into that weird but blissful state of half-consciousness. He can feel the small bumps in the road, not enough to waken him, but enough for him to be aware of it. But at the same time, he can't bring himself to peel his eyes open, as if they've been glued shut. The car comes to a stop, and Izuku shifts slightly at the brush of cold air when Aizawa opens the door. The man picks him up again, the boy curling into the warmth before finally succumbing to sleep. He won't make eye contact with his teacher for at least a month after the incident. He's accepted the fact that falling asleep on people is inevitable, and he's never going to escape. Pillow fight! Izuku isn't exactly sure who screams the first words, but it's in a second that all of Class 1A are bashing each other around in Yaoyorozu's large bedroom. The girl had invited them all, excluding Mineta, to a sleepover, and despite his initial nerves, this was his first time ever going to a sleepover. Izuku found that it was actually a lot of fun. A pillow nails him in the chest. "Pay attention, bro!" "Oh, I will." With a well-aimed throw, he hits Kirishima square on, toppling him with its heavy weight. Another pillow hits his back, causing him to stumble and fall into a quick roll. The teenage boy grins, picking up a pillow and using it as a shield. He's quick to dodge 2 hits, but a certain voice catches his attention. "Hey, Bakugo, dodge this!" Kaminari's voice rings out above the general volume, and it seems as if everything freezes as the electricity-quirked boy hurls a pillow at Kachan's back. The blonde whirls around at the mention, face twisted in annoyance when the object lands, right onto his face. "Pikachu?" Yes?" The furious boy lets out an indescribable screech of fury before launching himself at poor Kaminari. They chase each other around the room, the rest of the class joining in an attempt to save the electric boy. The night finally ends with everyone panting with delirious grins, except for a grumbling Kachan, pasted on their face, all lying in one large dog pile. Eventually, they shift into somewhat comfortable positions on the floor, Izuku finding himself next to Ida, who seems much more relaxed than usual. They share a smile. They stare at the blank ceiling together, just enjoying the company. It seems crazy how many bonds the freckled teen has made in Class 1A, and he finds himself so glad and thankful every day. Izuku wakes up the next morning with drool leaking out of his mouth and a foot being pushed into his face. Despite the additional appendage, he still feels content. Izuku isn't proud of this one. Not at all. "Hey, Roki," Izuku slurred. "What you doing?" Todoroki shifts uncomfortably from where he stands, grip on a bag a tad tighter than normal. "Hello, Midoriya. Recover girl let me check in on you after that unfortunate training accident." The shorter teen giggles. "I'm fine." His head droops a bit. "Everything's just a bit wonky." The boy makes a gesture with his fingers to express as such, but Todoroki just frowns at him. "That is to be expected. She said that she'd put you under a lot of painkillers." Makes sense." Izuku pouts then. "Roki, stay with me." The dual-colored teen pauses in a slow shuffle to the doorway, trying not to act like a deer in the headlights, yet miserably failing. "Apologies, I'm expected at my father's." "Fuck Endeavor!" The freckled teen cheers, startling Todoroki with his casual curse. "I'm cold. Come over here." The stoic boy relents at the sight of Izuku's grabby hands, allowing himself to be pulled into a tighter hug than he'd expected for one on loopy meds. "Warm," Izuku sighs as he cuddles into his friend's heat. Having a friend with a half-fire quirk has its perks, one that the small teen will admit to having abused multiple times. It's not his fault that his hands are always cold, plus Todoroki doesn't seem to mind when the green-haired teen uses him as a portable heater. After a few moments, the dual quirk user starts to pull away before Izuku tightens his grip. "No, not yet." With a small tug, the woozy teen pulls the other onto the hospital bed, finally able to fully absorb the warmth emanating from his right side. The hero in training splays his hands all over Todoroki's chest and rests his head on his arm, making a small, satisfied noise when he's finally comfy. "So warm. Wanna sleep." And Izuku does just that. Todoroki lies stock still next to him, uncomprehending of what just happened. He's forced to sleep this time, and just because he needed the rest doesn't mean he's happy about it. "Deku." Izuku jerks, sitting straight from his spot on the kitchen counter. He'd planned to do his homework in the common room, but it was occupied. Of course, Kachan was busy in the kitchen, but despite how loud and paranoid the boy usually is, he doesn't seem to mind it when someone watches him cook. There's this odd fluidity to the way the blonde moves around the kitchen. The way he seems to know where everything is, paired with the soft sizzling and rhythmic chopping, the experience is quite calming. So calming, of course, that Izuku falls asleep. Kachan slams a knife, hilt first, into the counter. "Hey, pay attention to me, shit nerd." The green-haired youth rubs his eyes. "Sorry, Kachan." He cuts himself off with a yawn. "What'd you say?" "Go to sleep." "What?" Izuku flails his arms. Kachan, I don't need to sleep. I'm fine." "Bullshit." The knife slams down harder against the table, probably denting it. Izuku winces at the lecture that he'll get from Ida later, if it wasn't his fault, even. "Your eye bags are practically mopping the entire fucking floor. Don't fucking lie to me." He scratches the back of his head sheepishly. "Really, I'm okay. I still need to do my homework and training, you know? I can't beat you if I slack off." "Yeah, and you can't beat me if you don't get fucking sleep either." Kachan practically snarls, turning off the stove that had been simmering unobtrusively. That surprises Izuku. Scratch that, it shocks him, because Kachan never stops something once he started it, and cooking a meal is no exception, yet here he is, turning off the stove. The freckled teen barely even notices the fact that the blonde had grabbed his arm and is dragging him into the dorms and up the stairs. Within minutes, they're at Izuku's room, and after he unlocks it, Kachan practically shoves him in. Go to fucking sleep, he snarls from the doorway. Izuku crosses his arms, blowing a raspberry, which he knows may be a bit childish, but he doesn't really care at this point. Suchan had always said that he was at his best when sleep-deprived. You can't make me. I still have things to do, Kachan. The other lets out a wordless growl, entering the room and slamming the door. Kachan tries to wrestle him onto the bed, and eventually winning against Izuku, who's too tired to put up a real fight at this point. From underneath the covers, Izuku pouts as his rival sits on the bed. You still can't make me. Really? Kachan's smile grows wicked. You forget that I know all your secrets, Deku. You wouldn't dare. I really fucking would. The explosive teen cards his fingers through Izuku's hair, and almost instantly his eyes grow heavy. He doesn't know why, but whenever someone plays with his hair, his brain instantly starts to shut down. In a situation like this, when Izuku's already bundled up in a warm set of blankets and it's Kachan who's doing it, well, Izuku never stood a chance. You can't do this. He's already too sleepy, and Kachan can tell too, given by the victorious glimmer in his eye. You're an asshole, is all the teen is able to get out before sleep finally claims him. Alright everyone, this concludes the one-shot entitled Humans Make Surprisingly Good Pillows. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I love these types of one-shots. Let me know your thoughts and reactions below, and as always, thank you so much for listening.